For years, the Braxtons sold us harmony. Even when they fought, it felt like family. Loud, messy, emotional, but still love underneath it all. So when whispers started spreading in early 2026 that Towanda Braxton had allegedly been taken into custody as part of a growing federal investigation, fans didn't want to believe it. This couldn't be real. Not this family. But then the rumors got louder. Court filings, financial audits, credit card disputes that reportedly stretched back years. And sitting quietly at the center of the storm was her own sister, Tamar Braxton. What began as a heated argument over phone bills and unauthorized charges has allegedly snowballed into accusations of identity misuse, concealed assets, and possible bankruptcy discrepancies. Sources claim the paper trail didn't just expose debt. It exposed something far more serious. Now the internet is asking the question no one ever imagined: did Tamar pull the trigger on a federal investigation to save herself? Or was Towanda already standing on shaky ground? Because if even half of this is true, the Braxton sisterhood isn't just fractured. It's under investigation. To understand how a reality television disagreement allegedly spiraled into a federal nightmare, you have to go back to the beginning of the financial tension between Towanda Braxton and Tamar Braxton. For years, their arguments played out in front of cameras. Viewers saw tears, accusations, dramatic exits, and reconciliations. But behind the scenes, sources now claim there was a growing mistrust centered around money. It reportedly started with something small. Tamar allegedly discovered charges on one of her high-limit business credit cards that she didn't immediately recognize. At first, it was brushed off as a shared expense, maybe something production-related, or a family emergency. After all, the Braxtons have always operated in a blurred space between personal and business. But according to insiders, the charges didn't stop. They allegedly multiplied. What caught Tamar's attention, sources claim, wasn't just the amount. It was the pattern. Recurring payments tied to utilities, phone plans, and luxury purchases that didn't align with her solo ventures. Tamar, who has worked hard to establish herself beyond the family brand, reportedly began asking quiet questions. And those questions allegedly led her somewhere she didn't expect. Around the same time, Towanda was publicly presenting herself as the steady, responsible sister. After filing for bankruptcy in 2019, she had spoken openly about rebuilding and starting fresh. Fans sympathized with her struggle. But whispers now suggest that federal auditors may have revisited that filing as new financial discrepancies surfaced. According to online reports, Tamar didn't immediately go public. Instead, she allegedly hired forensic accountants to review her financial records. That's where things reportedly shifted from suspicion to alarm. Sources claim the audit uncovered instances where Tamar's credit lines may have been used in ways she never authorized. Some of those transactions allegedly crossed state lines, involving multiple financial institutions. Now here's where the story becomes complicated. The Braxtons have always shared management structures, production teams, and sometimes even joint ventures. So determining what was authorized and what wasn't isn't as simple as reading a statement. Insiders claim Tamar's team began requesting documentation from Towanda about specific charges. And that's when tension escalated. On camera, viewers saw heated exchanges about phone bills. Tamar accused someone of using her credit card to cover expenses. Towanda fired back defensively, suggesting Tamar was being paranoid. At the time, fans treated it like another dramatic episode. But according to circulating reports, those arguments may have reflected something much more serious brewing behind closed doors. Sources allege that as Tamar's audit continued, more questions emerged. There were claims of business entities connected to family ventures, that may not have been fully disclosed during Towanda's bankruptcy proceedings years earlier. Again, these are allegations, not confirmed findings. But reportedly, investigators began looking into whether assets had been properly declared. The turning point, according to insiders, came when Tamar allegedly removed Towanda's access to certain accounts. That move, sources claim, triggered a chain reaction. Legal letters were exchanged. Cease and desist notices reportedly appeared. And what once felt like sisterly conflict began to resemble a corporate dispute. Atlanta's entertainment circles reportedly started buzzing. Was this just another Braxton blow-up? Or was there something deeper at play? Because when financial disputes involve high-profile names and multi-state transactions, they can attract attention beyond family lawyers. Some reports suggest that federal authorities became aware of the situation due to the scale of the alleged transactions. If identity misuse or wire fraud were suspected across state lines, that could elevate the matter beyond a civil dispute. Again, nothing has been officially confirmed, but the rumors gained momentum quickly. Meanwhile, the emotional toll inside the family reportedly intensified. Other sisters were said to be caught in the middle. Do you side with the sister claiming unauthorized use of her credit? Or the one insisting everything was part of shared family operations? That tension reportedly fractured communication. What makes this situation particularly painful for fans is the history. The Braxtons built their brand on unity despite chaos. They showed us therapy sessions, interventions, reconciliations. But sources now claim that by late 2025, the atmosphere on set had grown cold and cautious. Conversations allegedly shifted from emotional arguments to carefully worded legal exchanges. And then came the whispers of an arrest. In January 2026, social media exploded with claims that Towanda had allegedly been detained in connection to an ongoing federal investigation. No official press conference. No public mugshot widely released. Just reports citing unnamed sources suggesting authorities were examining financial records tied to past bankruptcy filings and recent credit disputes. The key question fueling the internet firestorm is whether Tamar's audit triggered that investigation. Did she hand over documentation to protect herself? Or were authorities already looking into financial irregularities independently? Those close to Tamar reportedly argue that she had no choice. If her name and credit were tied to questionable transactions, protecting her brand and future deals may have required full transparency. On the other side, supporters of Towanda claim she's being unfairly painted as the villain in what may simply be a complex family financial arrangement. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is clear. What started as a heated argument over a credit card has allegedly evolved into something that threatens the entire Braxton legacy. And in this first phase of the unfolding drama, the sisterhood that once weathered every storm now appears to be standing on opposite sides of a legal battlefield. The harmony hasn't just cracked. It's under scrutiny. As the whispers about Towanda Braxton allegedly facing federal scrutiny intensified, the focus shifted from recent credit card disputes to something buried years earlier, her 2019 bankruptcy filing. At the time, when Towanda filed for Chapter 7 protection, it was framed as a painful but necessary reset. Court documents reportedly showed hundreds of thousands of dollars in liabilities and very limited cash on hand. Fans sympathized. The narrative was survival. But according to circulating reports in early 2026, investigators may have reopened that chapter with fresh eyes. Sources claim that once the alleged unauthorized credit activity connected to Tamar Braxton surfaced, financial auditors began comparing present-day transactions to past disclosures. And that's when questions reportedly started multiplying. Were all income streams properly declared during the bankruptcy? Were certain business entities fully transparent in court filings? Again, these are allegations circulating online, not confirmed findings. But the speculation has been relentless. Insiders suggest that certain entertainment royalties, consulting fees, and small production payouts may not have aligned neatly with the insolvency narrative presented years ago. If true, that discrepancy could raise serious legal concerns. Bankruptcy court takes disclosure very seriously. Omissions, intentional or accidental, can escalate into federal issues if investigators believe there was deception involved. What makes this situation emotionally explosive is the possibility that Tamar's forensic audit may have overlapped with those historical records. Sources claim that while Tamar was reviewing her own accounts, her team allegedly noticed financial trails that intersected with companies or ventures associated with Towanda. That overlap reportedly triggered deeper digging. And here's where the story takes on a more dramatic tone. Rumors began circulating that federal authorities were examining not just recent transactions, but a broader pattern. If funds were allegedly routed through shared family entities, investigators would naturally ask who knew what, and when. That possibility reportedly created an atmosphere of fear inside the Braxton circle. According to insiders, other sisters became anxious about their own financial exposure. Even if they had done nothing wrong, being associated with entities under review can be terrifying. The Braxton name is both a brand and a business. And once federal investigators begin mapping financial networks, everyone connected feels the pressure. Meanwhile, Towanda's public image began shifting online. For years, she had positioned herself as the practical, grounded sister. The one who mediated conflicts. The one who preached accountability. But now, social media narratives were painting her as the alleged architect of a financial scheme. Supporters pushed back, arguing that reality TV often blurs business and personal finances. Critics questioned how someone claiming insolvency could later be seen traveling and hosting upscale events. Sources close to Towanda reportedly insist that her lifestyle improvements after bankruptcy were legitimate, tied to new projects and fresh contracts. They argue that social media optics don't equal hidden wealth. And they emphasize that federal investigations, if they exist, do not equal guilt. Still, the tension escalated when rumors surfaced about property searches linked to entities associated with Towanda. No official statements confirmed a dramatic raid, but online chatter described investigators requesting documentation tied to luxury purchases and business accounts. Whether exaggerated or accurate, those rumors amplified public suspicion. At the same time, Tamar's position in the narrative evolved. Initially framed as the victim of unauthorized credit usage, she was now being described by some as a whistleblower. Sources claim Tamar made a calculated decision to cooperate fully with authorities to protect her own financial future. If her credit profile had been compromised, silence could have risked millions in endorsement deals and solo ventures. That cooperation, if true, may have deepened the family fracture. Insiders allege that Towanda felt blindsided. She reportedly believed financial disputes should have remained internal, resolved through lawyers, not federal channels. To her supporters, Tamar's alleged involvement with investigators feels like a betrayal of sisterhood. To Tamar's defenders, it was self-preservation. The emotional temperature reportedly reached its peak during a private family meeting in late 2025. While no cameras captured the exchange, sources claim accusations flew. Tamar allegedly insisted she would not lie or cover for anyone. Towanda reportedly accused her of escalating a misunderstanding into a criminal narrative. And then came the most damaging rumor of all, that investigators were examining whether assets had been concealed during the 2019 bankruptcy to avoid paying certain judgments and personal debts. If that claim holds weight, the stakes are enormous. bankruptcy fraud carries significant penalties. Legal analysts online began speculating about potential charges ranging from wire fraud to identity misuse. Again, none of this has been officially confirmed. But the mere possibility shifted the tone from family drama to true crime territory. As January 2026 unfolded, entertainment blogs began reporting that Towanda might be preparing for a court appearance related to financial disclosures. Some outlets described it as routine clarification. Others used more dramatic language, suggesting imminent indictment. The lack of official clarity only fueled the frenzy. Inside the family, communication reportedly deteriorated further. Sources claim some sisters stopped speaking directly, choosing instead to communicate through attorneys. The matriarch, Evelyn Braxton, was said to be devastated by the public unraveling. For fans, the heartbreak isn't just about alleged financial misconduct. It's about watching a symbol of Black sisterhood become associated with federal terminology. The Braxtons represented resilience. Now, headlines mention audits and subpoenas. As this second phase of the story unfolds, one truth stands out: whether Towanda is ultimately cleared or charged, the damage to the family dynamic may already be irreversible. Investigations can be resolved. Court cases can conclude. But trust, once fractured under the weight of legal suspicion, is far harder to restore. And the most haunting question remains unanswered. If Tamar did cooperate with authorities, was she protecting herself from being implicated? Or did her actions accelerate a process that was already in motion? Because in this chapter of the saga, loyalty and legality appear to be on opposite sides of the courtroom. By the time the second week of January 2026 came to a close, the energy surrounding Towanda Braxton no longer felt like gossip. It felt heavy. Even without a detailed public statement from federal authorities, the constant references to audits, subpoenas, and alleged discrepancies had already reshaped public perception. In the court of public opinion, something irreversible had happened. The most painful shift wasn't just legal. It was relational. For decades, the Braxton sisters built a brand on surviving chaos together. Viewers watched them argue on camera, and then pray together minutes later. That cycle of rupture and repair became their signature. But sources now claim that what's unfolding behind the scenes isn't a temporary rift. It's a structural collapse. At the center of it all is the alleged cooperation of Tamar Braxton. Depending on who you ask, she is either the sister who refused to be financially exploited, or the one who brought federal heat into a family dispute. That dual narrative has split the fan base right down the middle. Insiders claim Tamar's camp views her actions as survival. If her credit lines were allegedly used without authorization, and if those transactions triggered broader scrutiny, distancing herself may have been the only way to protect her solo deals, endorsements, and touring contracts. In today's industry, even a whisper of financial misconduct can freeze partnerships overnight. Tamar reportedly understood that. But from Towanda's perspective, according to those close to her, the damage feels personal. Being investigated is one thing. Being investigated in a situation where your own sister may have provided documentation is something else entirely. Supporters argue that family disagreements over shared accounts could have been mediated privately. They question why things escalated to the level of potential federal review. And then there's the mother. Sources describe Evelyn Braxton as heartbroken. The matriarch, who once insisted her daughters move as a unit, is now reportedly watching them communicate through attorneys. Family gatherings, once loud and layered with harmony, are said to be replaced by silence and scheduling through legal teams. That image alone has shaken longtime supporters. Meanwhile, Towanda's public presence has noticeably shifted. Where she once posted confidently about projects and appearances, her tone has reportedly grown subdued. Some fans interpret that as stress. Others caution against reading too much into social media behavior. Still, the contrast is hard to ignore. Entertainment insiders suggest networks are watching closely. Reality television thrives on drama, but federal allegations are different. Advertisers become cautious. Insurance policies change. Production contracts include new clauses. If this investigation continues to develop, the Braxton brand itself could face long-term consequences. There are also whispers about financial ripple effects beyond Towanda. When investigators examine interconnected business entities, they often map entire ecosystems. Even individuals who are not accused of wrongdoing can experience audits or document requests. That possibility reportedly has other family members on edge. And yet, nothing has been conclusively proven in a court of law. That tension between allegation and outcome is what makes this moment so unsettling. If Towanda is ultimately cleared, she will have endured months of reputational damage based on rumors. If charges are formally filed and substantiated, the legal penalties could reshape the next decade of her life. Legal analysts have speculated online about potential consequences if bankruptcy fraud or identity misuse were proven. Penalties in such cases can include fines, restitution, or even prison time depending on severity. Again, these are general legal possibilities, not confirmed outcomes in this specific situation. But the mere discussion of those stakes has changed how people talk about the Braxtons. Perhaps the most symbolic shift is Tamar's rumored move toward complete professional separation. Sources claim she is exploring rebranding efforts that emphasize her solo identity rather than family affiliation. If true, that signals more than business strategy. It signals emotional finality. Because once you detach your name from the collective, you're acknowledging that the collective may not survive. Some fans are asking whether reconciliation is still possible. Could therapy mend this? Could a mediated settlement close the chapter? Or has the involvement of federal authorities crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed? There's also a broader cultural conversation happening beneath the headlines. Many viewers feel conflicted watching a prominent black family face federal scrutiny. Some argue that transparency and accountability matter regardless of background. Others worry about the optics and the pain of seeing a once celebrated symbol of unity unravel publicly. Inside Atlanta's entertainment community, the whispers are cautious. No one wants to align too strongly with either sister until facts are confirmed. Partnerships are reportedly being paused. Invitations quietly reconsidered. That's the unspoken reality of investigations. Guilt or innocence aside, proximity alone can shift careers. And then there's Towanda herself. According to those familiar with the situation, she feels misunderstood. She reportedly maintains that any financial decisions she made were part of broader family structures and not personal schemes. Her legal team, sources claim, is preparing to present documentation that contextualizes transactions currently being questioned. Whether that defense will reshape the narrative remains to be seen. For Tamar, the emotional weight is different. Even if she believes she acted out of necessity, cooperating in a situation that implicates your sister cannot be easy. Fans often forget that beneath contracts and credit reports are shared childhood memories. Shared bedrooms. Shared dreams of making it out of Maryland together. Now, instead of harmonizing in a studio, the sisters are harmonizing with lawyers. As this chapter closes, one truth remains. The Braxton sisterhood as we once knew it is gone. Whether it's permanently fractured or temporarily shattered will depend on outcomes we don't yet have. The alleged arrest. The reopened bankruptcy questions. The forensic audits. The whispers of subpoenas. All of it hangs in the air without final resolution. And maybe that's the most haunting part. Because until official statements clarify the situation, we are left in a space between loyalty and legality, between rumor and reality. A space where a credit card dispute allegedly became a federal matter. A space where a family built on harmony now waits for a verdict not delivered by a producer, but potentially by a judge. The music hasn't stopped completely. But it's no longer in sync. After everything we've unpacked, one thing is clear: this story is bigger than a headline. The alleged arrest of Towanda Braxton, and the questions surrounding Tamar Braxton, have shaken the image of a family many of us grew up watching. But allegations are not convictions, and rumors are not verdicts. There are still missing pieces, unanswered questions, and legal processes that have to play out. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Tamar was protecting herself and her business? Or do you think this situation should have stayed inside the family? If federal investigators really are involved, was this inevitable or preventable? And most importantly, do you think the Braxton sisterhood can ever truly recover from this level of public fallout? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about it respectfully. These are real people with real consequences on the line. If you want continued updates, deeper breakdowns of court developments, and analysis that goes beyond the headlines, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because when the official statements drop, we'll be here to break down every receipt.